lose Sunday Night Football, 16-10, I think the final score ended up being. Standalone games generally cause like major overreaction, especially, early that next week, right? Overreaction Monday. Obviously, it's Thursday. Now we've had some time to kind of soak it in, I guess. And I'm better than that. I'm not one of those guys who's going to come on here and freak out, say, we got a clear house. Kenny's not the guy. Starting Mitch Trubisky again. I'm not saying anything crazy like that. But I will say I feel the same way about the Steelers as I did going into this football game, and kind of going into the season as well. Right? I think Mike Tomlin is an all-time motivator. But from an X's and O's standpoint, I think the argument is that he needs a great coordinator. He needs a great staff in order to be successful. I mean, let's look at the only Super Bowl season that Tomlin has, right? When they beat the Cardinals with Santonio Holmes back at the end zone, right? Well, shocker, he had probably the very best coordinator tandem in the league. He had Bruce Arians, who went on to go win a Super Bowl as a head coach himself, and Dick LeBeau, who's probably a top 5 defensive coordinator of all time. I mean, clearly this team doesn't have like a bad staff around him, but it's not that. Right, like I like Brian Flores, Bush looks serviceable, Miles Jack is money, right? Like he's got some decent guys on his staff. The defense is solid. But I mean, I think at this point we can kind of say that Matt Canada is not right for this position. I think that's a fair assumption at this point. I hate calling for people's jobs, right? Like that's his lifeblood. I'm not going to be here. I'll go fire him, right? But I will say, how much more do we need to see? I mean, there's no clever, and there's no wiggle, there's no interesting, there's nothing to it. Right? Like there's not even an offensive identity. Right? And you need an identity when you don't have a stud quarterback. Like for example, Buffalo. What's Buffalo's identity? Josh Allen. But that's a damn good identity, right? That's okay. Right? Same thing with the Chargers, for example. I don't really know what I'm getting from them on a Sunday to Sunday basis on offense. They got Justin Herbert and some decent weapons, so they'll figure it out. Here we have Kenny Pickett, who's a rookie, and our offensive line's not good. So you need to have some sort of identity. Like, look at what they've done in Philly. You might not love Jalen Hurts, and I don't love Jalen Hurts. But you know exactly what you're getting every single Sunday from him and from that offense. They're going to run the football. They're going to have some good play-action reads. They're going to win the line of scrimmage. And you know what you're getting. And something that can't be ignored here is what influence that Tomlin has. And I'm not in the room. I'm not sure what influence he has, but he's got to have some sort of power over the offense. I mean, for example, right, everybody hated Todd Haley, right? Everyone hated how he did the same basic draw plays, and on 2nd and 3rd, he'd run a screen, and on 3rd and 8, we'd have like a toss to the short side of the field or something like that, right? What are we mad about now? Well, the same basic, boring, vanilla offense. But it's a new coordinator. And I'm not in the room, but what's the common denominator here? It's Tomlin. People are like, oh, it's Ben because he won't call the complex audibles. Well, Ben's gone. It's the same thing. It's the same issue even though Ben's gone. When Ben was hurt for a year and it was Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph, same problem. It's transcended quarterbacks. It's even transcended offensive coordinators. And I by no means do I think Tomlin should be fired. What I'm saying is that Canada is probably in over his head. Like I said, I don't like calling for jobs, but I mean, I think it's about time for a switch. And I think at this point, he's personally, I think behind closed doors, he'd tell you, I think an offensive coordinator job would be great. Because I think he could go get one at a Power 5 school tomorrow. I think he's pretty good at the college level. I mean, at one point he had the Pitt team being labeled as, quote, high octane with Nathan Peterman on offense. So, I mean, like, he'll be fine. He'd be okay. But what Tomlin needs, he's got the motivation. He's got the game management down, right? That's fine. He needs the genius X's and O's. Right? That's what he needs. What did Sean McDermott do in Buffalo? Go get Brian Dable, probably one of the best offensive minds in the league right now. And by the way, that's totally fine. We rely on people all the time. Like, 2% of this podcast, I know how to do from a technological standpoint. If you said, hey, you're going to upload this to blah, 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 I would have no idea what I'm doing. That's him. That's not me. But that's not my bag. That's his. Right? Like, I sit in my living room and watch film for like hours on end and go through like scratch pad after scratch pad just looking at offenses. Right? That's my thing. I don't know how to do technology. Right? I mean, you rely on people. Brady's relied on a good receiver play and not getting pressure up the middle. We all know that's how you beat Brady. Right? Goff relied on McVay. Hell, even Mahomes relies on Andy Reid, right? That's just kind of how it goes. Who can Mike Tomlin rely on right now? Who can he rely on? Although the Steelers losing on Sunday night and, Their coaching situation is significantly less serious than the quote I'm kind of about a quote from Stuart Scott. I'll kind of leave you with this quote because I think it talks about the fact that you need people, right? He said, "Fight like hell, and when you get too tired to fight, lay down and rest and let somebody else fight for you." Now, granted, he's talking about fighting cancer, which is significantly more important than a Sunday night football game. But I think the sentiment is there, right? Tomlin can't do this on his own. I think right now he's on an island. He's never had a rookie quarterback. He's got a rookie quarterback, and he doesn't have anybody there to help him. Nobody. I mean, I'm sorry, Matt Canada's not that guy. He's not that guy. He's on an island. Mike Tomlin's on an island right now.
Yeah, I agree. It's a first-time situation here in Pittsburgh. When you have the stability of a Ben Roethlisberger for so long, you forget what it feels like to be in the shoes of, I'm not going to say Cleveland because the Steelers don't have near the instability that Cleveland has. But
from a quarterback standpoint, though, Cleveland.
Well, yeah, when you're looking around and you can't, you're just going to have to kind of suck it up and see who you can find over the next couple of years. I think Kenny Pickett's pretty good. From what I saw on Sunday night, he looked good. He could get the ball into he was making some really nice throws. That throw to Pat Freiermuth over the middle during the 2-minute drill at the end there was really good. He was fitting the ball into a lot of really tight windows all night. And he actually got some plays from his receivers.
Yeah.
George Pickens makes a nice catch in the end zone.
Yeah, Claypool's been looking better and better by the week.
And Deontay Johnson hasn't been dropping every single ball thrown his way. He's been getting more consistent. So I think they do have the pieces, and they're starting to come together a little bit. I'm not sure they've nailed all of them, but they have at least enough. It's just they got to change that playbook up. They need to go something where you're taking a shot. Like Kenny Pickett's there. Take a shot. He's been throwing the ball into the right places all night. He hasn't been turning the ball over. Let him take shots downfield.
Right, and here's the thing, like I do think Jalen Hurts is better than Kenny Pickett right now, but from a pure passer standpoint, I don't think the gap is crazy.
No.
But look what Philly's been able to do. Now, granted, I think they have more talent on offense, but again, I don't think it's a wide margin.
No, and
I don't think it's like Philly here and like Pittsburgh here. And look what they've been able to do that. Like, because Shane Steichen is young, he's progressive. They have a great scheme. They have an identity. Like, I don't think it'd be crazy to say that you can bring something like that to Pittsburgh.
And I mean, let's not forget now, you have a mobile quarterback in Kenny Pickett. Kenny can get out of the pocket. He can move a little bit.
He's not highly moved. He definitely moves.
He's quick. He's quicker than a Big Ben. So now, like, scheme your offense a little more towards that. It looks like the only time that Kenny's running the football is when kind of everything breaks apart and he has to get out of the pocket and move. There's not any, like, really design stuff outside of bootlegs. He's really good on his bootlegs.
Yeah. And here's the thing.
If you can move him around a little more and just scheme that offense to where your skills are at, I feel like it's still geared to a running attack, and Najee can't move the ball.
It's not even a good one. And here's what I was going to get at. That's a perfect segue. I mean, look what just happened on Monday Night Football. We thought the Patriots were going to demolish Chicago.
Right.
Of course, Chicago goes and runs for 250 yards. Are we just going to sit here and tell me that Chicago's offensive line is better than Pittsburgh's? I don't think so. It might be close, but I think Pittsburgh probably has a better line than Chicago. Chicago just ran for 250 on Bill Belichick, right? Good coaches find a way to scheme a numbers advantage.
Yeah.
So that's what Shanahan's been doing for a living.
Right.
That's how he's made a living.
You need somebody upstairs that has that knowledge.
You absolutely do. I don't know. We'll see if they can turn it around. Let's